everyone. I'm Darrell Steinberg. I'm the mayor of Sacramento, and I'm proud to be joined by two of my great colleagues, Councilmember Valenzuela, representing District 4, and Councilmember Vang, representing District 8. We are here this morning to talk about climate and to talk about what the city is actually doing to be part of the national and international leadership to save our planet. And let me start by acknowledging that there's always more we can do. There's more that we must do. And yet it's important, I think, that we explain to the public what the city is actually accomplishing. And most important, I want to use my time today to make a big proposal. And then I will turn it over to my colleagues who will have their own insights and maybe proposals themselves. So here we are. First of all, the city began looking at its greenhouse gas emissions as an entire city back in 2005. We're now in 2022, 17 years later, and I'm proud to report that total city energy use has dropped 34%. Natural gas use has dropped 41%. As a result of that achievement, as Councilmember Vang will talk about, we're the recipient of a major statewide award. Overall, our city GHG emissions have fallen by 28% over the same period of time. As a result of the proposal that I am going to make in a few minutes, this is what will further occur in terms of the city's GHG usage. We are going to eliminate approximately 22% of current municipal GHG emissions. We're going to drop our municipal GHG emissions below 2005 levels in the near term by an additional 44%. And by 2030, we will have dropped our municipal GHG emissions by a whopping 80%. Now, how are we going to do this? This is the big announcement. The city has over 400 city-owned buildings, representing about 4.7 million square feet, about 5 million square feet, with over 1,700 SMUD electricity accounts. So we are a major customer, if you will, of municipal energy through SMUD. Currently, about 63%, not a bad number, but not high enough, about 63% of SMUD's power to the city for that 4.7 million square feet is carbon free. Renewable is defined by state law, with just under 30% coming from gas. For $1 million a year, $1 million a year, we can substitute out all that natural gas, all the non-renewable energy, and we can get to 100% renewable supplier from SMUD for everything that the city does. And so tonight, I'm going to propose that we do just that. We can find $1 million. We can find $1 million to ensure that we are 100% renewable for city-owned and operated buildings, and that is what we must do. That's not the only thing that the city is engaged in or leading on. Councilmember Valenzuela is going to talk in just a moment about electrification, so I will leave that to her. But maybe the most important and significant thing that the city is doing around climate is we are not only talking about infill housing, we're actually building it. Some astounding numbers, and by the way, we need more, but since 2015, we have constructed with the private sector 4,982 new housing units in our central city itself. We're the first city in the state to be designated as a pro-housing city by the state of California. We now have allowed and streamlined the ability to build accessory dwelling units As a result of our streamlining, ADUs increased 123% in 2021. There are an exciting number, a large number of housing units being built in the central city with no parking at all, encouraging people, of course, to use transit. And so land use is a key part of our strategy, and we're going to continue to both build, provide more affordable housing for our people, and do so in a way that is consistent with being a state and national leader on climate. Let me now turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Valenzuela, and then Councilmember Vang. Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm keeping my mask on. Recently tested negative again.
Yes.
Yay. So, but out of safety concerns, thank you for being here today. My name is Valenzuela, and in addition to being a council member, I've spent the bulk of my career advocating for environmental justice with frontline communities at the state capitol. And I'm so excited for the conversation we're going to have today. Because part of what we say in the work often, right, is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And what many have wondered is why haven't we adopted the climate action plan yet? And in part it's because we've asked our staff, and our staff has said we will model what it would look like to get to zero in 2030. It doesn't mean that we're going to get there, doesn't mean we have the money to get there, but let's figure out what it would look like to accelerate. And what the mayor just outlined is one of those really important key strategies. Another key strategy is electrification, which we will talk about today at the 1 o'clock law and legislation meeting. The city has made a commitment to electrify new and existing buildings in a way that would provide good jobs and ensure we're making communities more resilient, we're addressing energy burdens, and we're really preparing ourselves for the climate of our future. So today we will talk about whether we're ready to take that first step on new buildings. And a big question that's been raised is whether we can replace the jobs. So the conversation today is going to be about not just how do we electrify, but how do we electrify in a way that ensures that workers that are potentially impacted by that change have a real opportunity to move forward. And an idea that we have been kicking around as a city for a while that would make us frankly the leader in the state is how do we focus on whole home retrofits in existing communities? How do we start with the communities that are being hit first and worst by heat waves, by the need for air conditioning, by the need for heating, by the need for better air filtration and weatherization, and provide meaningful good jobs, go in and retrofit those buildings, make them ready for the future climate, reduce their emissions, get them ready for electric vehicles, for all of the great technology that we hope they can take advantage of, and in the process of that, create a ton of meaningful jobs and get us off the gas pipeline in a way that makes better use of our resources. So what I'm talking about is moving away from the siloed approach that we traditionally approach policy in to a very integrated approach where we're talking about water efficiency, energy efficiency, getting out natural gas appliances, and improving resiliency and reducing energy cost burdens on the communities that need it the most so that we ensure nobody is left behind. And if we're able to figure that out as a city, we will be the first in the state to do this approach. And I think that I'm very confident that Sacramento, with SMUD as our utility in the capital city, that we have the right ingredients here to already do this without a lot of new funding. We've got workforce money, we've got energy money, we've got water retrofit money. How do we pool all those resources together and push them in a strategic direction that's unlike anything we've been able to do in climate policy in California to date? So that is the conversation we will have today at 1 o'clock and again at 5 o'clock. And I'm really excited to see if Sacramento can be the first city to fully retrofit our disadvantaged communities first and to provide good jobs and increase our resiliency as we do it. Thank you. So now I'm happy to introduce Councilmember Vang.
Good morning, everyone. Really happy to be here today to be with both of my colleagues to really talk about our commitment to ensure that we meet our climate goals in 2030. Nothing gets done without city staff, and I really actually want to take this opportunity. I know Councilwoman Valenzuela and Mayor talked about some of the work that we'll be doing, but no electeds, even with the vision, can get anything done without our incredible city staff. And really want to take this opportunity, as city staff is watching this, if folks are watching this at home, really want to say thank you to our city staff for making this possible. We recently actually received 2 awards from the Institute for Local Government, really for the work that we've been doing in the region and the city. The first one is the 2022 Beacon Leadership Innovation Award. And this award is really about cross-collaboration efforts in the region. This is really about the City of Sacramento and West Sacramento doing everything we can to really be innovative, to be resilient, and to be adaptive to what's happening. The second award is really for our staff. It's the 2022 Beacon Spotlight Award. And this is really just to send to our staff for the great work that they've been doing on climate change. Earlier you heard from Councilmember Valenzuela about the work that needs to happen to really transform community. One thing that I'm really focused on is that we're going to do everything we can to reach our climate goals, but we have to make sure that we don't leave communities behind. And we're talking about retrofitting, doing electrification. We have to make sure that our low-income communities, our LEP populations, our limited English proficient communities, understand what's happening and that they have the resources they need to ensure that they also don't get left behind. And so I know the staff is committed, I'm committed, our council is committed to make sure that we have multilingual webinars, information, to make sure that as we're moving as fast as we can, we also don't leave communities behind. Equity is something that's very central to the work that we all do here at the city, and that's something that's going to be center and my focus as we move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Great comments, both my colleagues. I really appreciate it. We would, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Maybe I'll just summarize by saying, you know, we talk a lot about housing and homelessness at the City Council, you know, out of necessity. And I do think it is important to remind the people of Sacramento that that both the city staff, you're absolutely right, Councilmember Vang, really working hard and effectively, and we need to help them by adding more staff resources as we implement the climate action plan. But that there are a lot of important agendas going on here at City Hall. And housing and homelessness may seem like it dominates, and it does, because that is our most significant crisis. But can there be anything really more important at the end of the day than climate? And because in some ways, I know it sounds, you know, weird to say it, but if the climate is not saved, not much else really is relevant in the end. And so we can't do it all, obviously. We're one city, but we can lead. And whether it's electrification, whether it's infill housing, whether it's 100% renewable energy for 4.7 million square feet of city-owned and operated space, 100% renewable, we're going to do everything we can and lean in and do even more and better. So thank you. Anybody? Questions?
Anything in particular that motivated kind of for it to be just 100% changing buildings, you know, to renewable energy?
Well, we decided that 110% would not work. So
We have to leave.
we have to lead. That's all, we have to lead. And so 63%, you look at that and say, oh, it's almost 2/3, but it's not enough. I mean, I can tell you that what motivates me are young people. I mean, you look at young people and young climate activists who, you know, initially we put out an aspiration to be carbon neutral by 2045, and they came back and said, no, not good enough, 2030. And so, you know, we're trying to look at everything we can do now to come as close as possible to carbon neutrality by 2030. And so 63% is good in terms of renewable energy, but it's not nearly good enough. Gotta get to 100. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate it.